So this week I'm going to go ahead and start building the structure of the roof line of the little rat rod. I'm going to use a couple different types of metal and cut and splice some pieces together to kind of create the outline across the top of the roof and for the windshield frame, as well as do some outlining for the back of the body above the rear axle. So let's go ahead and dive into some time lapses, and then after we'll talk about it. All right, now that we've got all those parts and pieces tacked in place, you can really start to see the actual look of this car. So up here at the front, utilizing the 1/2 inch wide by 1/8 inch thick steel, I created the visor piece with a little bit of round rod in the corners for that curved look. And then more of the 1/2 inch by 1/8 inch bar to create this front pillar, which has a nice slant forward that I think is going to be kind of cool and unusual looking on this. And then as we come to the back, we used some round rod here to create this curve into the center section, the flat bar across the middle there, and then more round rod in the corner. And then toward the back here, I used the round rod to create the framework between the rear quarter panel piece and the framework across the bottom and on the other side. Now the next big step with all these parts tacked into place is going to be to start filling in the panels. So I've got some old steel from a roof that I took off of a scrap car that I'm going to use to create the roof skin for this. And then I'm also going to use various other pieces of scrap steel to fill in this panel here and the panels on the side and then the panels around the edging here. And that's going to give a really cool look, get all that finished out. And once those main flat pieces are created, I have the English wheel over here that I can put a little bit of curve to those pieces utilizing this English wheel. And then with all those panels installed, the last big fabrication thing on the body here is going to be building the trim pieces to create this body molding that goes around the back of the vehicle. I haven't exactly decided how I'm going to do that yet, but I have a few ideas. And once I get the main sheet metal all worked out on this thing, then I can start to fix that body molding through here. But now we've got a really good, clear picture of what this thing is going to look like. Some nice dimensions. And it's really starting to take shape, which I love to see. And once the body can all kind of take shape, then the next big thing is going to be to start working on the chassis, suspension mounts, motor mounts, and figuring out the front axle. But overall, starting to look pretty cool. Okay, so now that I have the framework all put together, I have cut a couple of chunks of old sheet metal out of the roof of a station wagon that was real rusted out. So with this piece here and this other section here, I can build some of the main sections of the body. So I'm gonna trim this big piece down for the roof section. And then this smaller piece here, I'm gonna go ahead and trim that down to make the lower part of the cab here in the back. Now, this was a full-length station wagon roof, but there was a section of rust right through here above one of the original roof support bars that had rotted through the sheet metal there. So I cut out that rotten section so I can use the good material here and the good material here. So we're going to go ahead and set up and do some time lapses of cutting up this piece and this piece so that they can fit onto the car body. Okay, so now I've got those pieces of steel all cut up and modified to fit the framework that I made. You can see it's kind of tacked around the whole perimeter here. And it's got a nice curve to it this way as well as this way, which I think is going to look pretty sweet. And it really ties in well with the visor and the doors. So I'll have to go ahead and cut some flat stock to go across the top here, which will create the top edge above the door. And then once that flat piece across the top here is created, I can fill in this panel here, these pieces here, and around the back section and through here. And then we'll really have all the major pieces of the body. Like I said earlier, I'll have to create this section probably with the English wheel and then create that body molding. So the next time we check in on this, I'll probably go ahead and start building these pieces around the roof line and around the front visor, and then maybe start in on these sections here. But other than that, really starting to look like a car now. So that's going to do it for this week's installment on the Rat Rod project. Next time, like I said a minute ago, I'll go ahead and start working on those pieces around the top of the roof, fill in that perimeter section, and then maybe get into some English wheel work on these panels here, and we'll have a really complete looking car. So that's going to pretty much cover all the little details. Pretty excited about the direction that it's going, and excited to continue forward. And then soon I'm hoping to get a hold of a front axle for it. That'll really give us a good idea of the way it looks. And I've also got some headlights and some other parts I've collected that I can use on it. So that's going to wrap it up for today's installment in this week's video. And for all of you out there, I hope you have a nice holiday season. We'll be back doing some more videos after the holiday. And until the next time, have a good one.